Paul Biya has been a central figure in Cameroonian politics for decades. His journey to the presidency was a gradual one. He first served as prime minister from 1975 under President Amadou Ahidjo. Then, in 1982, Biya ascended to the presidency, taking office on November 6 of that year. This marked the beginning of an exceptionally long period of rule. His leadership has now spanned over 4 decades, making him one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. Such longevity in power is a remarkable feat in any political system, shaping a nation in profound and lasting ways. His extended tenure places him among a very small group of global leaders. He is the second longest currently serving president in Africa, with only Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo of Equatorial Guinea having been in power longer. Globally, Biya is the longest-serving non-royal national leader. He is also notable for his age, having turned 90 in February 2023, and reported to be 91 by early 2024. This makes him the oldest head of state in the world. These statistics underscore the extraordinary nature of his presidency, and his continued presence in office is a defining characteristic of modern Cameroon. The Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, or CPDM, is Biya's political party, which he founded in 1985. The party has been instrumental in maintaining his grip on power. In November 2022, the CPDM planned nationwide celebrations to mark Biya's 40 years in office. The stated aim was to highlight political stability and peace under his rule. Such celebrations serve to reinforce the narrative of a strong, stable leadership, projecting an image of continuity and control. However, such long tenures often invite questions about democratic health and future transitions. Biya's political strategy has been described as astute, and he is seen as ruthless by some observers. He has maintained a close-knit group of loyalists in key government positions, helping to consolidate his authority while effectively suppressing political opponents. This dual approach has contributed significantly to his political survival. His ability to navigate complex political landscapes has been a hallmark of his presidency, yet this prolonged control also has implications for the country's development and political evolution. The question of what comes after Biya looms large. The political landscape in Cameroon is increasingly shaped by President Biya's health. Speculation about his well-being has been a recurring theme, particularly after his rare public appearances noted back in November 2022. More recently, his absence from public view since a significant international summit has intensified these concerns. Reports indicated he was absent following the China-Africa summit, which took place from September 4 to 6, 2024. The lack of official communication regarding his whereabouts or condition created an information vacuum, quickly filled with rumors and public anxiety. Following his extended absence in late 2024, various reports surfaced. Some suggested he was recovering in Switzerland, while others claimed he was hospitalized in France. These unconfirmed reports fueled rumors, including some about his possible demise. The government's continued silence on his health status only served to exacerbate the uncertainty. This lack of transparency is a significant factor in the current political climate, directly impacting public discourse and fueling the already simmering debate about his succession. The Cameroonian public, understandably, seeks clarity. This uncertainty has prompted public calls for transparency. For instance, lawyer Christian Ntimbane openly addressed the issue, penning an open letter to Samuel Mavondo Ayolo, the director of the civil cabinet. Ntimbane urged the government to clarify Biya's status to calm public concerns and dispel rumors. Such public interventions highlight the growing unease and underscore the need for official communication. When citizens are left in the dark, speculation thrives, destabilizing public sentiment further. The public reaction to Biya's absence and the surrounding silence has been diverse. Social media platforms became a hotbed for discussion and speculation. Some users theorized that external powers, particularly France, might be maneuvering to install Biya's eldest son, Franck Biya, as his successor. Others viewed the situation as a potential opening for Cameroon to move beyond Biya's long rule. This division in opinion reflects the complex feelings about his presidency and the country's future. Within the ruling circle, several figures are often mentioned in discussions about succession. One prominent name is Ferdinand Ngoh Ngoh, who holds the powerful position of Secretary General of the Presidency. Ngoh Ngoh is seen as strategically positioning himself, having been observed campaigning on Biya's behalf. At times, his activities have appeared to overshadow those of the Prime Minister. This visibility and perceived proximity to the president make him a key figure to watch. His actions suggest an ambition to play a significant role in Cameroon's future leadership. Another individual often cited is Joseph Dion Ngout, the current prime minister. While the prime minister's office is constitutionally significant, Ngout has been working to assert his own political relevance. He has been leveraging economic events and other platforms to build his profile, keen to demonstrate his capabilities independently of the presidency's direct shadow. His efforts to establish a distinct political identity could be crucial if a succession scenario unfolds. He represents a more traditional, institutional path to power within the existing framework. The name Robert Nkili has also surfaced in some reports. Nkili is President Biya's brother-in-law, and some sources like Cameroon Concord have suggested he might serve as an interim president. Family connections can play a significant role in political transitions, especially in systems where power is highly centralized. While less publicly prominent in succession talks than Ngoh Ngoh or Dion Ngout, his familial ties to Biya make him a person of interest. An interim role could potentially pave the way for a more permanent successor or influence the selection process. It is crucial to note, however, that no potential successor from the ruling circle enjoys unanimous support. The political landscape within the regime is likely complex and factionalized. Furthermore, no prominent figure currently serving around President Biya has publicly expressed a desire to succeed him. This is partly due to the sensitive nature of the topic. Openly vying for the presidency while Biya is still in office would be a politically risky move. The internal dynamics of the CPDM and the government remain opaque to outsiders. Among the potential successors to President Paul Biya, his eldest son, Franck Biya, occupies a unique position. His name frequently arises in speculation about the future leadership of Cameroon. Despite this, Frank Biya has maintained a politically discreet profile. He does not hold a formal government position, nor does he actively participate in the day-to-day political maneuvering that characterizes Yaoundé's political scene. This discretion, however, does not diminish the attention he receives as a possible heir to his father's long rule. The rumors surrounding Frank Biya often include suggestions of external backing. Some social media discussions and analyses point towards potential support from France. Historically, France has maintained significant influence in Cameroon. The idea that Paris might favor a dynastic succession, ensuring continuity and protecting its interests, is a recurring theme. Whether these suggestions hold substantive truth is difficult to ascertain. However, the perception of French involvement, real or imagined, plays a role in shaping the narrative around Frank Biya's potential candidacy for the presidency. His position as the president's son naturally places him in a category of his own. Dynastic successions are not unheard of in African politics. Such a path could be seen by some within the ruling elite as a way to ensure stability. It might also be viewed as a means to protect the interests of those closely allied with the current regime. Frank Biya's relative youth, compared to many long-serving officials, could also be presented as an advantage. He could potentially appeal to a desire for new, albeit connected leadership. Despite the persistent speculation, Frank Biya himself has offered little public indication of political ambition. His low profile could be a strategic choice, a way to avoid antagonizing other powerful figures within the regime, or it could simply reflect a genuine lack of interest in frontline politics. Until he makes a clear move or circumstances force his hand, his role in the succession drama remains an enigmatic but significant element. The possibility of a Biya dynasty continuing is a scenario that many Cameroonians contemplate with mixed emotions. Section 5. The opposition stand voices for a different future. The Cameroonian opposition, though fragmented, includes several key figures who could influence the post-Biya era. Maurice Kamto is arguably the most prominent among them. As the leader of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, or CRM, he significantly challenged President Biya in the 2018 presidential election. Kamto garnered substantial support, particularly in urban centers and among the diaspora. He remains a popular yet controversial figure. His strong stance against the current regime and his potential to mobilize protests make him a critical player, especially in any movement against a dynastic or regime-managed succession. Another notable opposition leader is Joshua Osai. He leads the Social Democratic Front, historically one of Cameroon's main opposition parties. Osai is working to appeal to a younger, more urban demographic. The SDF has faced challenges in recent years, but it retains a legacy and a network that could be revitalized. OC's strategy seems focused on capturing the aspirations of a new generation of voters. He represents a different brand of opposition politics compared to Kamto, perhaps aiming for a more gradual, electorally focused change in the country's leadership. Cabral Libiai is another significant voice, particularly appealing to the youth. He is known for being media-savvy and articulate. Libiai has managed to capture the attention of many young Cameroonians who feel disillusioned with the long-standing political establishment. His relative youth and energetic campaigning style contrast sharply with the older generation of politicians. He represents a desire for a more radical break from the past. His ability to mobilize young voters could be a decisive factor in a more open political environment. He is a symbol of generational change. Finally, Garga Haman Aji is a veteran opposition figure. He has a long history in Cameroonian politics. However, he has sometimes faced accusations of being too accommodating or even collaborating with Biya's regime. Such perceptions can complicate his standing among more hardline opposition supporters. Nevertheless, his experience and name recognition mean he cannot be entirely discounted. The opposition landscape is diverse, with each leader bringing different strengths and facing unique challenges. Their collective ability to unite or influence events will be crucial in shaping Cameroon's future. Section 6. The Unspoken Succession and France's Lingering Shadow. Discussing President Biya's succession is a highly sensitive matter within Cameroonian government circles. It is widely considered a taboo subject. Ministers and high-ranking officials who have dared to even theoretically consider Biya's departure have reportedly faced disgrace. This enforced silence creates an atmosphere of uncertainty and speculation. It also hinders any open preparation or planning for an inevitable transition. The lack of a clear, officially designated successor is a direct consequence of this political culture. This makes the future political trajectory of Cameroon difficult to predict. The absence of an anointed heir means that no single potential successor currently enjoys unanimous support. Even among the inner circle, loyalties may be divided, and ambitions kept carefully hidden. No prominent figure around Biya has publicly declared any intention to succeed him. Such a declaration would likely be interpreted as disloyalty or a challenge to the president's authority. This political paralysis concerning succession planning is a hallmark of Biya's long rule. It ensures his continued centrality, but also builds potential instability for the future. International actors, particularly France, play a significant, albeit complex role in Cameroon's political dynamics. Historically, France has been a strong supporter of President Biya and his regime. This relationship dates back to Cameroon's independence. However, this long-standing support is facing increased scrutiny. There is a rising tide of anti-French sentiment in parts of West and Central Africa, and Cameroon is no exception. Younger generations of Cameroonians in particular are questioning what they perceive as France's paternalistic approach to African affairs. This evolving sentiment means France's influence, while still present, might be more contested than in the past. Any perceived French interference in the succession process could provoke a backlash. The speculation about French support for Frank Biya, for instance, is viewed with suspicion by many. France will need to navigate this delicate situation carefully. Its actions or inactions will be closely watched, both within Cameroon and by the broader international community. The traditional Franco-Cameroonian relationship is clearly under strain. Section 7. Electoral Integrity, a foundation for stability amidst crisis. The importance of credible elections for a stable transition in Cameroon cannot be overstated. However, the body responsible for organizing elections, Elections Cameroon, faces significant challenges to its impartiality. Inau Abrams Egby, the head of Elecam, has been the target of accusations of partiality. Critics argue that Elecam lacks genuine independence from the ruling regime. This perception undermines public trust in the electoral process. If citizens do not believe elections are free and fair, the legitimacy of any future government will be compromised from the outset. Ensuring credible elections is therefore a critical task for Cameroon's future stability. A disputed election result, particularly in a post-Biya scenario, could easily trigger political unrest. The country has experienced electoral controversies in the past. The 2018 presidential election, for example, saw significant challenges to the official results. Learning from these experiences and implementing reforms to bolster Elecam's independence and transparency would be a vital step. International observers and civil society organizations have a role to play in monitoring and advocating for these reforms. Compounding the challenges to political stability is the ongoing Anglophone crisis. This conflict, concentrated in the northwest and southwest regions, is driven by deep-rooted historical and political grievances. Anglophone communities have long complained of marginalization by the Francophone-dominated central government. The crisis has involved armed conflict, civilian displacement, and severe human rights abuses. Any successor to President Biya will inherit this complex and volatile situation. A failure to meaningfully address Anglophone concerns risks escalating tensions further. The Anglophone crisis has profound implications for the succession. A candidate's perceived stance on the crisis, or their ability to propose a viable path to peace, could significantly influence their support. Some argue that the crisis itself is a product of Biya's prolonged and centralized rule. A new leader will have an opportunity to chart a different course. This would require genuine dialogue, political will, and a commitment to addressing the underlying causes of the conflict. The future leader's approach to this issue will be a defining test of their leadership. Section 8. Biya's legacy: navigating risks and seizing opportunities post-departure. President Paul Biya's political legacy is complex and multifaceted. His remarkable longevity in power is attributed to a combination of political astuteness and, at times, ruthlessness. He has skillfully maintained a loyal inner circle, placing trusted individuals in key strategic positions. This network has been crucial for the preservation of his authority over several decades. Simultaneously, his administration has been effective in neutralizing or suppressing political opposition, ensuring limited challenges to his rule. This approach has undeniably contributed to the political status quo that has characterized Cameroon for so long. However, this same prolonged grip on power is also argued by critics to have generated significant crises. Economic stagnation is one major concern often laid at his administration's door. Despite Cameroon's rich natural resources, widespread poverty and underdevelopment persist. Furthermore, unresolved regional tensions, most notably the Anglophone crisis, have festered and escalated under his watch. These issues represent significant challenges that his successor will inevitably inherit. The stability he projected often masked deeper, unaddressed problems within the nation. These problems will demand immediate and careful attention from any new leadership. The departure of a leader who has been in power for over 4 decades naturally presents both risks and opportunities. The primary risk is political instability. A contested succession, particularly in the absence of a clear and agreed-upon mechanism, could lead to significant political upheaval. Factions within the ruling party might vie for dominance. Opposition groups could see an opening to challenge the established order more forcefully. The uncertainty surrounding President Biya's health and his prolonged absences has already heightened these concerns. Managing this transition peacefully will be paramount. Conversely, Biya's departure also offers a significant opportunity for renewal and reform. It could open the door for a more inclusive system of governance. There might be a chance for genuine dialogue to address long-standing grievances, including those in the Anglophone regions. A new leadership could prioritize economic diversification and development, tackling corruption and improving public services. The transition period, while fraught with potential danger, also holds the promise of a new chapter for Cameroon, one potentially defined by greater democratic participation and sustainable progress for all its citizens. Section 9. Cameroon's crossroads: the path to a stable transition. Cameroon stands at a critical juncture as the era of President Paul Biya inevitably approaches its end. The intense speculation surrounding his health and the question of his successor highlight the fragility of the current political situation. After more than 42 years under one leader, the prospect of change is both anticipated and feared. The nation's future stability hinges critically on how this impending transition is managed. A smooth, democratic, and transparent process is essential to avoid potential turmoil and to set the country on a positive path forward. The calls for democratic reforms are likely to intensify once a transition begins. Many Cameroonians, especially the youth and those in opposition, aspire to a more open and accountable political system. This includes demands for credible elections, a more independent judiciary, and greater respect for human rights and freedom of expression. The role of institutions like Elections Cameroon will be under intense scrutiny. Ensuring their impartiality and capability will be fundamental to the legitimacy of any new government. A failure to meet these democratic aspirations could fuel discontent and instability. The international community, including regional organizations and global powers, will also have a role to play. Their engagement can support a peaceful transition, for instance, by advocating for electoral integrity and offering technical assistance. However, external actors must navigate carefully, respecting Cameroon's sovereignty while consistently upholding democratic principles. The influence of countries like France will continue to be debated, with many Cameroonians wary of any actions perceived as interference in their internal political affairs. Constructive international partnership will be more effective than prescriptive measures. Ultimately, Cameroon's path forward will be determined by Cameroonians themselves. The transition offers a profound opportunity to address long-standing issues, from the Anglophone crisis to economic development and governance. It requires leadership that is willing to embrace inclusivity and dialogue. It also demands active participation from civil society, political parties, and ordinary citizens. The choices made in the coming months and years will shape Cameroon for generations. The hope is for a future where stability is built not on the longevity of one ruler, but on strong democratic institutions and the will of the people.